Welcome, students, to adding and subtracting complex numbers and multiplying complex numbers. We're going to put them together. So this is a lot like adding, subtracting, and multiplying polynomials, which you did in Unit 4. So when you add complex numbers, you just combine like terms. That's it. So when I have 5 plus 2i plus 3 minus 4i, I'm just going to combine the 5 and the 3 because they're both real. And I'm going to combine the 2i and the negative 4i because they're both imaginary. So 2 minus 4 is negative 2i. So there's your answer, 8 minus 2i. So how about let's do example 4. Now here, I had you put this on the top of your previous page, but I want you to put it again. I squared equals negative 1. So this I squared here, before you do anything else, I want you to cross him out and replace him with a negative 1. Then combine like terms. So 4, 3, and negative 1 are all real numbers. So we can combine them. So 4 plus 3 is 7, minus 1 is 6. And then that leaves the only imaginary part as negative 6i, so go ahead and put that. And there's your simplified version, 6 minus 6i. All right, so go ahead and try 2 and 3, and then come back to check your work. Okay, for 2, you should have gotten negative 3 plus 3i. And for 3, you should have gotten 2 minus i. And if you put 1i, that's fine too. All right, so subtraction, you first have to distribute that negative and then combine like terms. So let's take care of that. So distribute the negative. Bloop, bloop. So 9 minus 3i, and then minus 6 minus 2i. Then combine like terms. So 9 minus 6, those are both real, so you can combine them together. And then negative 3i, negative 2i, those are both imaginary, so you can combine them together. And there's your answer. Okay, so let's try example 8. So there's our old friend I squared again. So let's deal with him first. So I squared, you're going to replace with negative 1. Now this is a 2i squared, so it's really 2 times negative 1. So this is really 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Let me copy the rest of this. There. Okay, so I replaced I squared with negative 1 because I squared is negative 1. And 2 times that, so it's really negative 2. And I just copy the rest of the problem. So then distribute that negative sign. Bloop, bloop. So negative 3 minus 2i. Then minus negative 2, which is plus 2. And minus negative I, which is really plus I. Then combine like terms. So negative 3 and positive 2 are real. And negative 2i and positive I are imaginary. So you get 1 minus I, or 1 minus 1i. Okay, try 6 and 7, and come back to check your work. All right, so on number 6, you should have gotten 7 minus 14i. And on number 7, the i's end up canceling each other out. So when you get that 0i, you can just simplify that as negative 5. So now it's just a real number, no imaginary numbers at all. All right, so turn that over. And let's do multiplying. So you're going to multiply with the so-called box method that we did for polynomials. So set up your numbers. You kind of want to put the real parts here, real, real, and then do imaginary, imaginary, because then it'll kind of convert this way. So these will end up being like terms that you can combine, and this will end up being an I squared that you can convert to a negative 1 and times whatever number's there. So let's try one. Let's do example 1. So set up your box. And put 3 minus 4i, 6 plus I, and then multiply. So 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times negative 4i. Well, if you look at 6 times negative 4, that's negative 24. And then stick on the I. The I it's not a variable because it has a value, but you can treat it like a variable. So if you imagine there were an x there, you would have gotten negative 24x. Kind of the same thing. So then 3 times I, it's kind of like if you had 3 times x, you would put 3x. This is the same thing. 3 times I is 3i. And then finally, negative 4i times I, that's negative 4i squared. So now this part, I squared is negative 1. So 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. So this box right here is negative 4. So I can go ahead and write what I've got so far. So I have 18 minus 24i plus 3i. And this all came out to negative 4 because I converted I squared to negative 1. And then it was 4 times that. So it's negative 4. And then combine like terms. So 18 and negative 4 are real. So that gives me 14. And negative 24i plus 3i, those are both imaginary. So that gives me negative 21i. So there's your answer. All right, let's try example 3. There's our old friend I squared. You know what? Put that at the top again. I squared equals negative 1. Yay. All right, so let's do 3, and then I'll have you guys try 2 and 4. Okay, so first, as usual, when you see that I squared, I want you to fix him and make him a negative 1. So I have 12 plus 4i, and then 16 minus 1 is 15 minus I. Okay, so I simplified it a little bit. So I squared becomes negative 1, and then I went ahead and just combined 16 minus 1 to get 15. Okay, now set up your multiplication. Make this a little bigger, you know what? Because these are going to be some big numbers. Make it a bigger box. Okay, so 12 plus 4i, 15 minus I. All right, and then go ahead and fill it in. So 12 times 15 is something. So 12 times 15 is 180. 15 times 4i is 60i. 12 times negative I is negative 12i. And 4i times negative I is negative 4, and then I squared. Cool, so we're done multiplying. So then remember, I squared is negative 1. So this is really negative 4 times negative 1, which is positive 4. So when I write down what I've got, I have 180 plus 60i minus 12i plus 4. Then combine your real parts. And combine your imaginary parts. And there's your answer. Okay, try 2 and 4 and come back and check to see how you do. For 2, you should have gotten negative 14 minus 38i. And for 4, you should have gotten negative 89 minus 62i.